Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the D-Generation Y podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex.
And I'm your other host, Mike.
Welcome back, guys. I know it's been a little bit since you've probably heard our voice, if you've even heard it before. Before we get started, I gotta say one thing. Oh my God, we're back again. Uh, so if you guys have listened to us before, you already know. If you haven't listened to us, we like to have a little bit of fun. We're just goofy dudes who tend to make a fool out of ourselves, but we enjoy ourselves, so we hope you do too.
And if you don't, might as well stop listening now. Or keep listening and making fun of us. That's fun too.
Making fun of us is a pastime of a lot of people that we know. So, join in on that fun. I enjoy making fun of us. We have a pretty good agenda stacked for you guys today for the episode. We're going to go back into a couple of games that we played, or really just one game, but a couple different rounds. Got a couple different segment ideas of what we're looking to do. If you do enjoy us, we're sorry that we've been away for a while, but we're hoping to be able to do at least short intermittent episodes, once a week, record Tuesday nights, release on Wednesdays. Mike, anything you want to say to the folks out there before we jump in?
I hope you didn't miss us too much. I missed us.
You see yourself every day.
I said I missed us, not me.
Most people don't miss you.
All right.
So the first segment we're actually going to kick off tonight, guys. Mike, it is your idea, so I will turn it over to you to lay the land.
All right. So I know we both have our opinions about this, and probably the only exception that I would put in this is Royal Rumble, because that would be exhausting, and well, then it would just be really two matches, which is what they have nowadays. But whatever, I digress. So it always drove me nuts that you have a pay-per-view named after a specific style match. Example, Hell in a Cell. And there's only one or two Hell in a Cell matches. Like, in my mind, if you have a pay-per-view named after a match, why not go ahead and make all of the matches that specific match that the pay-per-view is named after? For example, I guess the best example of how I would envision it would be Extreme Rules of last year. We were actually just talking about it. Every single match on the agenda was some way, shape, or form of an Extreme Rules match. So that one I was actually pretty happy with. But even though, like, I know a lot of times with Hell in a Cell, and I think your biggest against my proposal would be that Hell in a Cell matches usually are the end of a feud, but I would be totally fine with just seeing a pay-per-view match in a cage. Why not? But I guess what other matches are there? What other pay-per-views are named after matches? I mean, you got Hell in a Cell, you got Extreme Rules, you got TLC, which why not go ahead and make all of them TLCs? I mean, they might be long matches, but they'd be great.
My one thing with TLC is, and I guess at that point it becomes more of just like an Extreme Rules type pay-per-view. But my thing with TLC is, one, if you're having a match between just like two or three people, but none of them have a title, what are you climbing the ladder for, So that's why I think, at the very least, for TLC, in some ways I agree with you.
Climb the ladder for a contract, number one contender match, contract, or you have all of the leave the brand matches. You have,
yeah, I don't know. Well, so the way I was envisioning it is, even if not every match is a TLC match, every match, which I think they tried to do this for the most part, like at least at the very first TLC pay-per-view, is at least every match involved one of the three pieces of TLC. So like, at least if there isn't a title on the line, like, have the feud be like for like a tables match, like the first person to get through a table loses, or like
they have a chairs match,
which has been done before. There was
right. Isn't that the one where they pulled the strip of chairs down onto somebody? I think no, was that
no, that was like the TLC match that wasn't climbing the ladder. It was like a pinfall TLC match, which was weird. But Mark Henry and Big Show did a chairs match where it was technically a no DQ match, but the only weapon you were allowed to use was a chair. So like, if you want to do TLC that way, I'd be fine with it where every match just has some kind of stipulation that allows for one or more of those, weapon types.
Yeah.
But like, similar to
TLC, I think I'd like that. TLC could easily work, I think, with my stipulation.
TLC could.
Extreme Rules clearly can work with my stipulation.
I think the big ones that are tough are going to be, you obviously already called out Royal Rumble is not possible. I think it's
But
also,
Royal Rumble, I'm kind of happy with it because they have the two Rumbles. I mean, whatever. Always loved Royal Rumble. So, but
and I think so. And then I think the other one that's similar to Royal Rumble, that's a little bit hard to have every single match be this stipulation, is going to be Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, like you could have,
a bunch of ladder matches.
well, you can have a bunch of ladder matches, but like then they're not all Money in the Bank. Like you really only can have two, maybe three Money
I
in the Bank.
mean, you could have one for the U.S. champ contender, for, like if you specifically instead of or like a SmackDown men's Money in the Bank, a Raw men's Money in the Bank, a SmackDown women's Money in the Bank, and
Right, but then at that point now, because like in theory, for the most part, there's only one pay-per-view every month. So now if you're, the month that TLC happens, or not TLC, now the month that Money in the Bank happens, you're theoretically not having any of your championships defended at that pay-per-view because you're saying every match on that card needs to be for some kind of Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, I'd be okay.
And I think that then just either makes
And
them
that would really make put the champions on kind of high alert because then somebody's coming for you.
true. I think then the issues you might run into are one, since that leaves you potentially with four TLC matches, two men's, two women's, both like one for each Raw and SmackDown, basically. That leaves you with only four matches on the card. So now you're either shortening the pay-per-view extensively or you're extending the matches, which just now creates a lot
They
of
are pretty long matches though, because right now with the two Money in the Bank, I feel like what are there only two other matches or three other matches afterwards, right?
I feel like a TLC. I keep saying TLC because we were talking about it for a while. I feel like a Money in the Bank ladder match will typically run 18 to 25 minutes. So yeah, they're decently long. So figure even in the middle somewhere, 20 minutes a piece. That's already an hour and 20 minutes. Plus you get like the backstage promos. Plus you get like the time for entrances and like celebrations and stuff. So like it'd still, I guess, end up being like a 2.5 hour show. It's just I don't know.
I mean, I'd be okay with it being so every pay-per-view that's named after a match being most of the matches be like that stipulation, and then you have like your whoever main kind of world champion match, men's and women's. So then you have two or three additional matches just for the title.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and at Money in the Bank that works, but then I guess,
That wouldn't work for others.
well, but that would work for like Money in the Bank, which
I
is
still think Hell in a Cell, just leave the freaking Hell in a Cell down the whole time.
have the match outside of Hell in a Cell.
Oh, just leave the cage down and let it.
Anywhere you have to try and break into it. It's a reverse Hell in a Cell match.
Okay. But then why would the ring be there? Yeah. Well, I was kind of liking the idea at first.
That'd be a horrible idea.
you
I'm
break,
so
you have to break into the cell to able to get a pinball or
I mean,
finish.
I guess in theory, which I mean, I feel like we've seen sometimes in a way, like you have like the attacks for Hell in a Cell, you have the attacks happen on the outside, and then like the match never officially starts until they get into the ring, but they're beating the hell out of each other outside of the ring and outside of the cell for like 5-10 minutes, and then they finally get inside.
How many times has that happened?
Not a lot, but I feel like it's happened a handful.
Yeah, no, it's definitely happened with. I know the first one comes to mind is Sasha and Charlotte, your favorite two people.
Whatever. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
Derailed the conversation.
But back to your original point, I don't know. I think your idea of wanting, if a pay-per-view is going to be called something like all the matches should match that, can work sometimes. I just don't know that it makes sense to do it for every pay-per-view that has some kind of stipulation attached. But at the same time, I also was never a huge And I guess maybe subconsciously for that reason, I was never a huge fan when they got rid of the old school pay per view names and started calling things like Hell in a Cell and Money in the Bank.
Agreed.
Like, I kind of miss Money in the Bank being at WrestleMania. I kind of miss like the old school like
Yeah,
Judgment,
Judgment Day, backlash. Well,
Backlash still
is that
exists.
even a thing anymore?
Backlash, yeah,
Is it?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that's,
They've been calling it WrestleMania
yeah,
Backlash.
yeah. That always throws me off for some reason.
Yeah, which I mean it makes sense because that's really what Backlash was meant to be. It was like the ending of feuds after
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't know. I can like kind of see it working for some, just not all. Like I'm trying to think of any other.
I think that's actually how my this whole idea started, with me being upset with renaming the pay-per-views instead of just keeping the because I don't know, there's something about the being the 15th annual whatever Judgment Day, 15th annual Backlash, 15th annual, like whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know. And then they just started renaming and testing out different names, and you had freaking like Roadblock and
yeah,
something
yeah,
balls of fire or something.
like, I miss. Like I said, I mean, I miss like Judgment Day. I loved the Great American Bash. That was always like a
Great
fun.
American Bash was good, yeah.
One of my favorite pay per views to watch year over year was typically Unforgiven. I feel like
Unforgiven was good, yeah.
Unforgiven always had some pretty good matches on it. That had like the DX Hell in a Cell, that had John Cena Edge TLC, that had Kane versus Shane McMahon in like an ambulance match. I want to say it was like that usually had some good things.
I feel like Unforgiven turned into Hell in a Cell.
Almost kind of, yeah.
Like the same feel and everything, like the
Same feel,
fiery, like
right? Same feel,
yeah,
same time of year almost. Like,
yeah.
um, one final note that I'm going to throw in here that I guess kind of backs up your point. If you look back, there was historically one pay per view that had, in a sense, a match stipulation where almost all of the matches on the card were related to that stipulation, and it was King of the Ring. The King of the Ring pay per view had like 6 or 7 matches on it typically, and like 5 of those 6 would be King of the Ring matches to see who was going to be King of
I miss King of the Ring.
the Ring. Bring it back.
They are?
They're supposed to be bringing it back this year. It's I forget exactly what they're going to call it because now there's obviously the Queen's Crown tournament. But from what I've been hearing, they're bringing back a King of the Ring pay per view, and the entire card is going to be the matches for King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring or whatever they were calling it.
Why wouldn't they call it King of the Ring?
I feel like Queen's Crown. That's what they were calling it, Queen's Crown tournament, like Selena won the Queen's Crown type of thing.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I mean that'll be my final note on that piece. Like it can work. I think it's hard to see it for every single one of them. It would get bland.
I still think it's doable for Hell in a Cell, no matter what you say.
We disagree there because I don't know if I would want to watch 3 straight hours of Hell in a Cell.
You know, the gore.
I mean, yeah, like yes and no, but it's also not gory anymore because of the PG stuff.
Are they still? Are they not? Is that like not a thing?
No, they never.
Oh, I thought they were. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, they were supposed to go up to TV 13, I think it was, or TV 14, whatever that next rating is, but they stayed at whatever TV rating.
I'm surprised Trips didn't fight for that.
I think it was all a rumor that he ever wanted it to be.
I hate rumors.
You and me both. So yeah, that just got our hopes up for no reason. But on that note, let us jump into guessing the wrestler that is poorly described. It will be my guess first, so you kick it off with some of your hints.
Alrighty. So initially, this superstar didn't want anything to do with their character.
Oh, I feel like I know. I know this story and I can't picture who it is. This person didn't want anything to do with their. No, it's not. It's not Trips. I don't think it's him. I'm just gonna say Triple H though.
No.
Male or female?
Male.
Okay.
Now, which one do? Okay, so this superstar has been in all of the major promotions.
So when you say major promotion, I'm saying WWE.
WWE, WWF, whatever, WCW, ECW, TNA, AEW. Haha.
Jericho.
No.
Oh.
Aha.
All right, so they've been in all the major promotions. They're male. Former world champion.
No. And that leads me to my next hint. Their popularity actually screwed them out of a championship run.
Oh, so I know we were talking about this beforehand. I think you're doing the right order. That this is gonna have me stumped.
Yes. The next two might help clear it up a bit.
All right, so they're male, not a former world champion, and they've been in all of the major promotions, at least in the US, and they didn't like their character. Oh, Christian's world champion wasn't in all of them. Nope, they're not old enough. Wow. I'm really scared. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Fuck.
Wait, that was it?
Yes.
that was such a guess.
Yeah. So I was watching Storytime, and when first they pitched the whole Jake the Snake kind of thing, and wearing the cowboy boots and everything, he was like, "Fuck that! I don't want anything to do." And then they were like, "Okay, well then you can kind of." He was like, "No, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it." And then obviously he's been in all the major promotions. He did a short stint in ECW in like '97 or something like that. The popularity actually screwed them out of the championship run because he was supposed to go against Hulk Hogan. But then because Hulk Hogan was the biggest babyface at the time, and when Vince saw the crowd's reaction to Jake the Snake and they were cheering him on, he realized that's not what the reaction he wanted. So he was like, "Well, nope, that's not happening." And then what else did I say? My next one was going to be considered one of the first anti-heroes of wrestling. So there's that. And then is known in WWE for creating the DDT.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that last one definitely would have given it away to me, I think. Because I know that he's kind of credited with like polarizing that move.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Just break this. Anyways.
I pulled that one. I was trying to think. I was like, who in AEW is older? Every single one of those promotions. And thinking that he was the first person that I pulled. And thinking back, my only other guess that I would have potentially thought of would have been Taz.
Yeah, I could have saw that. But yeah, no, he does some behind the scenes stuff for AEW too. He's done like something with their community outreach or something like that. I think I saw.
I would have guessed trainer, but yeah, I guess that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, there's that one, you son of a bitch.
Yes.
You have more correct guesses, I think, than incorrect ones.
I think I might. Yeah, we'd have to go back. We'd have to go back to the tapes and check. But I think I might.
Check the tapes. Check the tapes.
He's cheating something. He's googling it.
You got cameras in my house.
Okay,
I'm not talking about the one I know, but no.
The tripod gives it away. So rolling right along, I'll kick this next segment off because it was kind of a little bit of my brainchild, and I know or at least a portion of it, and I know you have your own like divergent area of how you picture this going. But it's our fun little segment of Could You Imagine? So obviously WrestleMania is coming up in 30 something days, April 1st, April 2nd. We have the main event, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal title, or whatever they're calling it nowadays. I can't keep that straight because I feel like it slightly changes every day.
Who announces it? I know you feel strongly about this too, but I hate that Heyman carries the belts without Roman's presence.
That's a whole other topic I could spend 20 minutes talking about. Yeah, it irks me. I think I even made a TikTok on it because I find it very disrespectful, both on Roman and Paul's part, which Paul is very typically respects the business a lot, so I'm surprised he would do something like
Yeah.
that. Not to say Roman doesn't, but that's going down a rabbit hole. That could be for another day. So we got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Universal Title, Undisputed Title, whatever it is. So my could you imagine is if Cody ends up winning the match, I picture not at the Raw after Mania, but actually at WrestleMania with Jay White from New Japan now not being part of New Japan and being a free agent. My could you imagine is Jay White debuting after the main event of WrestleMania, making his way down to the ring, having some kind of interaction with Cody, and teasing the two sweet symbols since they're both former members of the Bullet Club. But instead of before they can actually touch fingers, Jay White actually attacking Cody and beating him down. And I know we had this conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people. Oh, and the whole point of that being to like set up. This is like Jay White will be Cody Rhodes' first like feud post WrestleMania, his first like title defense, all of that. And I know you and I had this discussion, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will have similar thoughts of like, oh, well, why wouldn't Roman be the first challenger to like get his rematch? My thought there is, well, Roman's been portrayed as the head of the table, tribal chief for the past 2+ years, almost 3 years now. If when he loses, whether it's at Mania or sometime later, I picture him disappearing and being off TV for a while, kind of like in shame of like he's been dethroned. He's shamed by his
Better than what he is now.
what kind of yeah.
He's basically off TV most of the time.
Yeah. Like so I can picture a cool scenario where two former Bullet Club members are going at it at like WrestleMania Backlash and like maybe even one or two pay-per-views after that, just because Roman Reigns is going to be shamed and not want to be on TV, not want to be seen. So I think that'd be a really cool moment seeing Jay White debuting. He is a former, if I'm not mistaken, a former New Japan World Champion. So like he has the experience of headlining major shows. So I think he would be a good first opponent for Cody, especially because they worked at the same company, so they know each other's styles, and I think they could have good chemistry in the ring together.
Yeah, no, I'd like it, but I think the reason why I have my little tangent is because I really want to see like a big formation of the Bullet Club in WWE. So my thinking is that, and now that you said it, the Raw after Mania, big for the premieres. Maybe he doesn't come out at Mania. Maybe he comes out on that Raw afterwards to kind of like you know whatever, form that relationship with him, and then somehow AJ and Anderson and Gallows kind of get together and they just kind of form. I don't know, but Finn, the thing is, he's doing his own thing with Judgment Day, so that's a little hard there. But I don't know. I want something to be formed there, and then maybe some type of like by SummerSlam there be, because is that when Becky also did her weird thing where she kind of turned heel too? Because I feel like SummerSlam is known for people kind of turning.
Yes. So yeah, two years ago, Becky kind of came back from her hiatus that
Right.
when she had her child. She came back at SummerSlam 2 years ago.
Did her kind of quick
Turned on Java,
3 second match thing. Yeah, yeah. But like I don't know. I want something to build to, instead of it just happening right there and then. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows who Jay White is. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm underestimating the fans a bit, but I feel like some type of build up there because okay, yes, he shows up on Raw. They do the Too Sweet thing. They kind of get together. They form. Because I really want Bullet Club to be formed. They kind of get another faction going, take down the bloodline, put Judgment Day in its place, maybe kick Dominic's ass into NXT or something. I don't know. And then, then he kind of turns on him because then I don't know. I like the whole best friend turning on each other, or friendship kind of turning on each other, but right off the back it would be like, who is this guy? And especially to the hardcore WWE fans that only watch WWE, like they're gonna be like, who is this guy, and why does it matter if he's just turning on Cody right there and then? He's just this new guy coming in and automatically getting a title shot.
That's yeah. You know what? Now that you say, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still biased, and I like my idea better. But
No, it's a good idea.
But like, but I will say is I get what you're saying, and I definitely agree with you. I think the hardcore WWE fan, or I don't even want to say hardcore, but like the non-hardcore wrestling fan that maybe only casually watches WWE and doesn't pay attention to any of these other companies.
Right.
I mean, not that we're the big, like the most hardcore fans, but we at least like know of stuff in New Japan, and like we watch AEW, and we like kind of listen to Ring of Honor and like Impact and stuff. So like the person that only casually watches WWE, you're right. They're not going to know who Jay White is, so they're going to be like, "Yeah, why is this random dude who I've never even heard of, who I've never seen before, getting that title match?" So I think you do make a very fair point where they need to kind of, for the strict WWE fans, they need to kind of be able to.
I think for the better ratings, they need to build it up a little bit.
Exactly. I think for the better ratings that would help. The only thing is like, and I'm not saying this is the case, but like if WWE maybe felt like they were in trouble and like we're losing fans to AEW or like another company, maybe trying to pull people in back in quicker, because now the people that are watching AEW or watching these other companies and maybe haven't watched WWE before, like, oh, Jay White just showed up and attacked Cody Rhodes, who I also know, at their biggest show of the year. Like, what's going on in WWE? I need to go watch that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, or no, that would never happen.
Even though you're saying it happened, I got to know what you were just thinking.
Because I like Kenny Omega. I don't really like the Young Bucks. Like, I think they're okay. I think in the trios, anyways, Kenny Omega kind of carries the team. And it was weirdly pointed out last week on AEW, I think, either Rampage, I think it was Rampage, where they were like, "Oh, Young Bucks have been on like back-to-back losses," and then they just finally got their loss, and they were like, "Other than outside of the trios competition," and I'm like, "Yeah," I remember thinking to myself, "Yeah, that's because Kenny Omega carries them," but I don't know. I would love to see Kenny Omega and like in WWE, or at least, but like I said, it's never going to happen. I don't think he's ever going to leave AEW for WWE anyways. But
well, so I mean, you'd be surprised because I mean, I think especially if Cody ends up being the one to dethrone Roman, whether it's at WrestleMania or maybe a pay-per-view after the fact, I think that will show a lot of the AEW locker room, like, hey, like granted, it's slightly different because he was WWE.
he has history.
Like he had the history, but like you're still showing the AEW locker room, like, hey, this was one of our founders. This was one of our VPs. He left us to go to this other company, and he's now their world champion in just over a year's time.
Right.
Like maybe it isn't that bad over there.
Right.
If I put on the right show, and I think it's important. I think it's important to note, and I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but Kenny Omega's contract should have already expired with AEW, but it got extended because he was injured for most of last year. So it like it technically is expired, but it's not like he owes them time because of his injury. So like he's like booked with them through a part of this year. But theoretically, by the end of this year, he's a free agent. Where that possibility of him ending up in WWE, or at the very least leaving AEW, is a possibility.
You imagine surprise entrance to the Rumble
next year? Yeah, it's possible. It's 100%.
But no, what I was thinking about, right? Is Regal still? Is that official that he's behind the scenes with WWE right now?
He's behind the scenes. He just
can't show up on TV, right? For however many months or whatever.
He has the like the non-compete clause where he can't be on TV.
Because I'm wondering if he'll have any part in taking. Well, not really, because he didn't have any good remarks about AEW, right? Because he said going there, it was like
he said it was very disorganized, basically.
Yeah. And I feel like that shows on TV.
Right. So, but yeah. So I mean, but still, you know, even though he thinks it's disorganized, who knows what kind of connection, even in a short period of time, that he made with someone like Kenny Omega. And obviously Cody knows Kenny. So like, even though Cody isn't in a booking position, like it's not out of the realm of possibilities that in the next year or two we could see someone like a Kenny Omega also jumping ship and going to WWE.
I wonder if MJF actually would ever jump. We're really derailing this conversation.
We definitely, I wouldn't say we derailed. I think we hit both of our points that we wanted to talk about. Imagine, and now we're just having a general conversation, which I'm enjoying because I mean, like it's additional could you imagines of like these are, you know, my could you imagine is a realistic possibility, and you know what we're talking about now is too. But yeah, I mean, I think MGF going to WWE is also a possibility because
but not. I don't know if they'll ever offer him the money that Khan will offer him. because he said at the end of the day, it'll come down to money. I don't know if he means that or not, but
It'll come down to money,
sure he
but
does.
I think depending how he does in his current world title reign and how he does through the end of his contract, which I think is through next year, so 2024, I think that will ultimately dictate. Like if he does well and he proves he can be a top guy and he can be a consistent main eventer,
Yeah,
like I'm not saying he'll ever be making, Brock or like Cena or Roman money, but like he could be making a lot in.
he could. I
I
mean,
think
not right away, but I think because he has the mic skills.
he all
And I've seen, I mean, I do think he has really good. I think he is pretty talented. I mean, I've seen other. I wouldn't necessarily base that, that opinion off of his matches in AEW, but I've seen some of his non-promotional matches just because of like TikTok and things like that, and YouTube, whatever. But I think he has the talent and he has the mic skills, and I could see him going up against, that would be something. Him coming back when Cody's the fucking champion, and they have that would be interesting.
I,
Hey, I followed you. So what's going on?
I mean, I could definitely picture him. Yeah, I could definitely picture him like getting into some good mic battles with like the Miz or like a Seth Rollins. Like I could picture them having promo
That would be
battles.
good.
Like MJF versus Seth Rollins or MJF versus the Miz in the ring would be like
I'd
pretty.
rather see Seth Rollins versus. That would be insane. Because just thinking about Seth Rollins against Riddle and their promos,
True. The
and I mean,
cat.
Seth Rollins he is phenomenal on the mic. And for somebody that I honestly, from starting at the Shield and whatever, and he had a good start. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like that growth that he's had, like, wow.
Like he's to me he's one of those people where seeing him as a world champion or seeing him with a championship in general is cool, but he's I think evolved into one of
Better in the
those
tape.
superstars who doesn't need a championship to like
Yeah,
not quite where obviously because they're different at points in their career. He's not quite where Randy Orton is, and granted, Orton has 14 world titles, so like maybe this
right.
isn't a
Yeah.
base comparison, but like Orton is also one of those people you don't need a title on him for him to be in the main event
An eventer, yeah.
of you or of a
Yeah.
show, and Rollins is right there with him. Like for example, like we were talking about Extreme Rules. The Extreme Rules pay per view last year, the main event was Seth Rollins versus Riddle. There was no title involved. It was just a blood feud,
And
it was
that's just because of the promos that everything building up to it. Like it was.
right, exactly. Like granted, Roman wasn't on that card, so like there was no world title match, or men's world title. But like you could very easily say, like, oh, one of if since Roman's not going to be there, one of the women's world titles should be the main event, either the ladder match or the Extreme Rules match. But no, Rollins was that good in that feud
Yeah.
with Riddle that deserved to be the main event.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I was the two of them. I could only imagine the promos that would be cut.
Yeah,
Like that would be sick. Anyways,
uh,
but I digress.
yeah. Anyway, I said a minute ago, I think
If you're listening and you want to book us for some, creative brainstorming, we'll do it for free.
um and like I said a minute ago, I think we both kind of hit the points we wanted to hit for the could you imagine. So unless you have anything else, I think we can jump back into our second round of guessing the poorly described wrestler. Ready? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Hint number one: this individual was inducted to the Hall of Fame, WWE's Hall of Fame specifically, by the APA.
Gotta remember this. Miss Jackie, I don't know.
That's a
Or
fair.
Jack, I should say.
I think she actually might have been, but it's not her. It's not
No,
her.
okay. Male or female?
No.
Okay.
Um, this individual is a former general manager.
Teddy Long. Yes.
Yep.
Holla, holla, holla.
that was good. So all of the hints, and like none of them were that crazy.
I think that was the first time I got it that quickly.
That was very quick. I'm impressed. I'm proud of you.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So all of my hints were inducted to the Hall of Fame by APA, former general manager, former referee, and was
Oh,
almost
that I would have guessed if I at least referee. If
yeah.
I didn't, then I would have punched myself in the face. What was the last one?
The last one was almost married on TV. He was supposed to marry
Yes.
Crystal, but then had like the heart attack or whatever.
Oh, Teddy Long.
Look at us, 2 for 2. We're getting the wrestlers. No, I think these were easier. Well, I mean, actually, I wouldn't say yours was not easy. I just completely pulled it out of thin air.
When
Mine,
we were talking earlier, and you had mentioned, because when we were talking about rivals and legends, and you had mentioned that last week's was Jake the Snake, I was trying not to give a reaction because I was like, I don't want him to see my face and be like, why are you reacting that way?
so oblivious, and I wasn't paying attention whatsoever.
I like tried to keep the most straight face. I was like, oh.
It's,
Oh, shit.
it's funny. I would have laughed like I had actually already seen the episode, and like literally all of your hints were mentioned in the episode.
I think they were. Oh, shit. All right.
All right, guys, we're down to our last segment, and with AEW having their Revolution pay-per-view this weekend, we're just gonna run through the match card, and I think we'll both just kind of give our opinions on how we think the match is gonna turn out. Maybe who's gonna win, how we think the finish is gonna work, just any thoughts that come to mind. No particular order, but match number one, six-man tag team match for the AEW World Trios Championship, the Elite, the defending champions, versus the House of Black. So in my mind, I think this was a feud that was ultimately supposed to have happened already, or should have had longer build-up by this point, but had to be delayed because of the Elite being suspended after the whole CM Punk issue. So I think
I
ultimately,
feel like they haven't done much of a build up. Like they had the one instance where House of Black showed up, and then last week they did they cut the promo where they called them out basically. But I would have liked a bit more of a give it a little more oomph.
I definitely agree, and
And
oh, go ahead.
no good.
I would say I think part of the issue is, and now that I'm thinking about it, not only was the Elite suspended for a while, both Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black were taking personal time off. So I think this feud was a long time in the making, and it just got basically roadblocked because of various outside issues that the creative team had no real control over.
So now I'm going to change my answer because of this discussion. Because initially I was like, oh, I think House of Black is going to win. Because in my mind, initially I was thinking, yeah, okay, Young Bucks, the Elite, they're great, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, I feel like, they're just going to have to lose because whatever. We need somebody new being it can't be them in my mind. I don't know. For some reason, it just can't be them. But now I'm thinking because there wasn't that build up, maybe Elite will retain, and then there will start to build up that feud, and we'll start seeing week after week some type of something, and then at the next pay-per-view the House of Black wins it.
Interesting. It's interesting because I had the same initial thought as you. I'm like, no, the House of Black is going to win this match. And even as you were starting to explain your reasoning why, I was like, no, 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 I think you're wrong. I think House of Black is going to win this. But as you finish it, I think you like changed my mind. I think I agree. I think the Elite.
Like at first I would say, because are they still young? The Young Bucks, are they still like making decisions, kind of?
I'm not too sure.
Or anything?
Maybe.
Because initially I was thinking like if they are still making decisions, then they have to lose the titles. Like, yes, okay, they did it so that they could say they've done it twice. They're 2 times trio champion, whatever. But then now that we're talking it out, I'm like, maybe if they're smart and they want to kind of build up some type of, because who is the House of Black going to go up against?
True.
Honestly, I mean, right now they could go against. I can't think of the names. Not the High Flyers. I don't know what the hell their names are.
The 2 Spanish guys and Pac, basically.
No, not them. The young guys that.
Oh,
that are
Top Flight.
Top Flight. I said
Top
Top Flight.
Flight and AR Fox.
Yeah, and I know that could be one, but
Yeah,
I can see that being good against House of Black. I don't know.
I think yeah. So I definitely agree with you now. Now that we've talked about it, I agree. I think Elite retains at Revolution, and then whether it's on like a super card show or just in a few months at their next pay per view, I think the House of Black will eventually win the trios championship. But after they've had time to develop the feud,
Yeah.
and make it a little bit more personal and things like that.
That would be the smart thing to do because I think you need to build up some type of because right now it was just like 2 weeks of like little things here and there, and unless I'm missing something, I don't know, but
Yeah, no, I don't think we're missing anything. So I agree. I think they need to build this up more. So I think if they're smart, the Elite end up retaining in some way, shape, or form. And like I think maybe I know Julia Hart, who's like their quote unquote manager,
yeah.
like does like a Black Mist type thing, and sometimes Malachi does it. So like maybe she like goes to hit someone in the Elite and accidentally hits like Buddy Matthews, and Buddy Matthews ends up getting pinned type of situation. So like it's a cheap win, but this way the Elite still wins, and the House of Black has the reason of like, oh, you only won because whatever, like we won.
Yeah, I would hate to see that, but I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah. Not the greatest booking, but it's a typical booking. No, and I won't even say just an AEW, but that's like just a typical booking that you get when you're trying to like ignite the feud, kind of.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So match number 2, we have a three-way match, aka a triple threat, for the AEW Women's World Championship. We have Jamie Hayter defending against Saraya and against Ruby Soho. I personally think Jamie Hayter should retain because she's a younger wrestler. I think they're trying to build her a little bit, but part of me feels that Saraya, being she's more established, is going to kind of come in, throw her quote unquote weight around, and politic her way into becoming the women's champion.
Yeah, I think well, not even that though. I feel like you need to give a little because who was the previous? I guess Tony Storm was the champion, or no, what's her name now? It's not Tony Storm. Is it Tony Storm?
I forget. Yeah, it's Tony something. We'll
She
just
was
call
the champion previously, right?
She
And
was
then before that, like I'm trying to think of notable women that were that champion.
no one huge in America.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking like Saray is gonna win to give a little bit of that like
To the title.
renown to it, and then not to say Jamie Hayter doesn't win it back eventually. Ruby Soho doesn't really do much for me. I don't. She's okay. I mean she's a good brawler. I mean she's good to, I hate to say it, but Phillips space a little bit. But I don't see her winning, and if she does, I'd be surprised. Jamie Hayter, she's good, but like you said, she's young, and I think Saraya should probably win. And with the help of Tony Storm, I easily see her getting involved in the match in one way, shape, or form. And then Britt Baker probably coming out and whatever, but then maybe something happens to Britt Baker and it distracts Jamie Hayter or whatever, and Saraya takes advantage of Ruby Soho. That way, Jamie Hayter doesn't get to be pinned, and then it really kind of kickstarts their feud even more. And like, yeah, because if they're playing off this whole, we're the established, whatever, we're not AEW homegrown, but we're kind of established and well known, then I feel like it makes sense for Saraya to win. But who knows?
Yeah, that's a
I'm
fair.
surprised. How did she ever get medically approved? I thought it was still questionable. I mean, whatever. If she wants to risk her life, that's not on me.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that. I didn't get too much into it, but I think that's a fair point. So I think we're both in agreement that Saraya wins. I think the reason why she wins is slightly different, but I think I like your reasoning for her winning more, and it makes her seem backstage less of a bully, basically. So let's hope if she does win, it's because of your reasoning and less so because she threw her weight around in politics.
I feel like it just has to, like, it makes sense with the storyline that they're going with. It would make sense to keep her, but I could also see if Jamie Hayter wins, it'll maybe give her a push of, well, I beat them both and I still retain. But I wouldn't like that. But that's just me.
Fair. All right. Match number 3, we have Le Champion, aka the Ocho, aka a billion other things, Chris Jericho versus
I still think it's so funny that he named his faction the Jericho Appreciation Society.
JAS,
Like,
baby. They are the world's premier sports entertainers. But yeah, so we got a singles match between Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks, and then JAS is banned from ringside. I think ultimately here, I believe if I'm not mistaken, Chris Jericho has beaten Ricky Starks in the past, so I think this is going to be.
most recently, Ricky Starks beat him.
Oh, was that the case?
Yeah, that's the whole. That's the whole. Have you not caught up
Oh,
on
I
that?
got. I must have been like zoning in and out, so I must have gotten that backwards. I thought it
Yeah.
was.
So Ricky, I don't. He might have beaten. I think Jericho. I mean, obviously, I've only recently been caught up on AEW, but um, most recently, the most recent match they had together against one on one, Ricky Starks won, and it was right after Jericho lost to.
Oh,
And
ready, right?
yes, and then they kind of had their whole team up, Ricky Starks and Andretti, to kind of go against JAS a little bit. But so that's where then they did the whole kind of JAS tournament for Ricky Starks had to do the gauntlet thing or whatever. Oh, the Sammy Guerrera and Daniel Garcia, whatever, gauntlet. And then that's when Ricky last week called out Jericho and was like, whatever, I have this contract and blah, 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 whatever. Clearly, I'm not going to get Jericho one on one. And Jericho's like, what do you mean, clearly? Whatever, that whole, and that here we are. But yeah, so I don't know. I kind of see Jericho winning only to kind of, because I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about Jericho, but I feel like when he first started getting these losses, I was like, wow, Jericho's actually putting over people that like over himself.
Yeah.
And now that he's getting this rematch, I'm like, I think he's kind of wanting to redeem himself a little bit. So I think he's gonna win.
Interesting. So I think I'm gonna go opposite than you here. I think Ricky Starks is gonna get the rub from Jericho and kind of go over to
You
kind
think?
of cement his character and cement him as like a true player in AEW. It's actually pretty good. If you're only listening to us, unfortunately, you missed it. That was solid. That was good. I like that.
I didn't see it, so I'll have to watch back.
But yeah, no, I think Chris Jericho keeps with the we'll make it sound mean and we'll say he'll keep going with the charity, and I think he'll give the rub to Ricky, and Ricky will go over in the match to kind of lament him as like a strong player in AEW and a future like world champion type challenger by having those back-to-back wins over Jericho.
Because I think Ricky Starks is rather small, but he has the talent. I think I've seen a couple of his like outside of AEW matches too, and
Yeah, no,
want to see on some type of like national, or I shouldn't say national promotion, but like a rather live or televised promotion.
right.
What's his name? Nick Osprey, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah,
Or is
Osprey.
it Will? Is it Will?
Will Osprey. Will Osprey.
Will Osprey. I don't know why I said Nick.
Um, yeah, no, I'll agree. I think Starks definitely is smaller, but especially the way like he does his mannerisms and the way he talks on the mic, he reminds me of like a young Rock almost, like the early days of like Rock kind of breaking out
On the mic, really?
a little bit, like his mannerisms,
Oh, okay.
like his face, like while he's talking, his
Okay.
expression.
I thought you meant like his actual skill on the mic.
No, I think he can get
There's
there.
some like cringy things he said. I'm just like, like, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get there, but I think that's also maybe part of just the writing. You know, you can only, if you're given a script, you can only do so much with it, um, depending how much creative control you have. All right. Next up, we have the defending champion Samoa Joe versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. I'll let you kick this one off because I feel like I've gone first the past few times.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know. I kind of feel like Wardlow's gonna win. I don't know why. I think they're gonna start taking away Samoa Joe's like championships a bit. If, especially that he lost. I don't know. It's not believable to me that he lost against Darby Allin. I don't know, but that's the whole nother story. But yeah, I think the way that they're doing the promos and everything, where it's more than just a fight for Wardlow. It's personal because of his hair. So stupid. But yeah, I think that's what they're revving it up for, that he's gonna end up winning.
I agree. I think Wardlow wins this match and gets the TNT Championship back. And I've had this concern before with this particular title. I'm worried though. I think if Wardlow wins it back, he needs to hold it for a while
Yeah.
because this title it's only been around for like 2.5 years now, and it's been passed around a lot. Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes held it 3 times. Darby Allin's held it twice. Um, Miro held it once. Samoa Joe's held it twice. Um,
Is he contracted to anybody? Is he contracted to AEW, Samoa Joe?
yes,
Like, is it ending soon?
Samoa Joe's contract.
Yeah.
I don't know how long his contract was, but he only got there last year.
Oh,
And he's like one of those dual people who's like doing both
Honor
Ring
and
of Honor and AEW. So I can't picture him going away anytime soon. Because I feel like because the only other like I don't know that he has history in New Japan. So his only other options would be like Impact or WWE. Impact wouldn't be a horrible option for him. It's just obviously not nationally televised.
big Bullet Club faction versus the extended Samoan faction. Oh, it would be amazing.
I'm cutting the recording now. You're done. um, moving on from that.
Girls, sorry.
The next match, I think actually might be the match that I'm looking forward to, possibly the most on the card, is going to be the Texas Death Match between Moxley and Hangman Adam Page.
You know, modern day Nick Foley.
Yeah,
Moxley, that's what he is to me. I don't know.
like
He's only good in those kind of matches, or at least those are the only kind of matches I want to see him in, or I look forward to seeing him in, I should say. Which is basically what we all look forward to seeing Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack in.
True. So I will say this. I agree. These are the only matches that I really enjoy Moxley in. I think though Hangman Adam Page ends up winning the match to win the feud and kind of be like, well, I won the feud because I beat you in your match. Like this is your area. Like this is what you do best in, and I just knocked you out and pinned you.
Yeah, and if I think they're kind of using Moxley to put over Page.
Agreed.
So I think I agree with you. I think he's going to end up winning as well.
Yeah, I think
it'll be a good match. It'll be pretty close, but I think he's going to end up somehow.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be I think it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a very bloody match. It's going to be a very brutal match. If you are a parent, do not let your kid watch this match. It is not going to
not bring your kid to the front row.
Not bring your kid to the front row. There may be some splatter. It's gonna be a brutal match for sure. But
you don't have any open wounds getting blood on you, and
but it's gonna be good, I think. All right, 2 more to go. We got the 4-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. One team to be determined, which will be decided as of this recording tomorrow night, as of the posting, probably today or yesterday, versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus the Acclaimed versus the defending champions, the Guns. So in this match, I can almost say without certainty the Guns are going to end up retaining their titles. I think the way I'm picturing this match ending is the Acclaimed hitting their finisher and then one of the Guns basically knocking them out of the ring and stealing the pin to retain the titles.
I just don't want Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett winning.
I really don't think they will, and I really would be surprised if they do. I think
when they won and then the referee reversed the decision, I was like, are you really? Jeff Jarrett needs to be a tag team champion right now? Like,
yeah, and I think if Tony Khan only gives the Guns like a month-long title reign, if that would be.
I think they're trying to push the Guns a little bit, which I think I don't disagree with. I think they're pretty talented. Their mic skills could probably use a little bit of work. But I think maybe that's what this push is going to start doing. Hopefully, maybe that's what their break did a little bit. Their little feud against FTR. So who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I think they're retaining. I mean, we don't know who's going to be the other tag team unless this is some type of something that's going to blow us all out of the water. I don't know, but I think the Guns are going to retain.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Unless like this fourth team ends up being someone insane, I think the Guns retain. Which I was definitely sad to see the Acclaimed lose the title because I'm a huge fan of the Acclaimed, but I'm not upset with the Guns being champions by any means.
I'm waiting for Billy Gunn to turn on the Acclaimed. I think something's going to happen. I thought it was going to happen during the tag team title match that they had, where he was going to end up getting involved and it was going to be a turn on the Acclaimed. I think it's just a matter of time, but I don't know if you actually. I've never talked to you about that. I don't think. I don't know if you agree.
I don't. I think in not even for storyline purposes. I think behind the scenes, I think Billy wants to stay apart from his sons to kind of let his sons grow and develop.
That makes sense. And they lose out on a lot of merch because then Sesame Daddy Ass goes away, and
Exactly.
yeah, so maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe like a year or so down the road, maybe.
And like maybe not even for him turning on the Acclaim to go to the Guns. Maybe he turns on the Acclaimed at some point, but I still think he's gonna like and this could just be me as a non-parent, but like if I were like Billy Gunn, I would want, even though they're using like the same name, like I would want to be associated with my sons to kind of let them grow on their own,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I wonder if they'll ever make it to WWE. I'd like to see them in WWE. The Gun versus the Usos would be, I feel like, could be a good match.
Would be very interesting. Yeah, I think it'll all just depend on how they view the relationship between obviously their father and WWE and whoever's managing it at that point.
Yeah, but I don't think Billy Gunn has a bad relationship with WWE, right? Because he was going to come up for the DX reunion, but Ron didn't let him, right?
No, I don't think he has a bad relationship by any means. I think it's just so. I guess I worded that wrong. I didn't necessarily mean it as like there's a bad relationship. I think it'll just depend on. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't want to say this, but I mean, I definitely mean it a little bit, but it's almost like in my mind, they're using AEW as NXT to go to main roster.
Could be.
As bad as that sounds, but
it happens. It happens. All right, guys. Final match of the night. 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. My man MJF versus Bryan Danielson. I know we kind of preluded to this before. It sounded like we were both in agreement, but for a number of reasons, we think MJF needs to, should, and probably will end up winning this Iron Man match.
Yeah, no, he definitely has to keep the title for a bit, especially since he made this whole big ordeal about redesigning it, which he really didn't redesign much. It was literally just the belt part. Like, I thought he was gonna redo the whole, and then when he unveiled, I was like, "What's different?" Oh, that's it. I mean, it's nice, I guess, if you like Burberry that much.
It fits his character for sure.
It fits his scarf.
And
I think he's gonna win.
Yeah, kind of like we were talking about before. I think one, I think if he were to lose the title, it does damage to the title itself. And I think they purposely made this a 60-minute Iron Man match to kind of let him showcase his wrestling skills against someone who's like supposed to be like
established
best technical wrestlers still going.
No, I agree. Yeah. It would be foolish for them to let him lose.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, there you have it. Those are our AEW Revolution 2023 predictions. This episode feels like it flew by, but that is the last of our segments. I don't know if you have any final notes, but I'm looking forward to doing more episodes. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're hoping to start recording consistently on Tuesdays and uploading full episodes to our various platforms on Wednesdays, and then posting the clips throughout TikTok over the course of the week.
We missed you guys.
We missed us. Hopefully you missed us, or at least us. On that note,
we've missed all of the 2 people that listen to us.
Which is probably my mom.
I'd say my mom, but I don't know if she does.
Fair enough. On that note, have a good night, guys.